Boom.
this year.
I love that your bleach blonde wig has dark roots. That is amazing. Truly amazing.
So where are you guys located?
I'm in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought. Where are you, Chris?
Orange County,
Orange County, California. Okay.
So I want to look the part now.
I followed him out to Milwaukee years ago.
What was that? Sorry, I dropped my
I
headphones.
just said I ended up in Milwaukee because I followed you here from Boston.
Right.
We're both living in the Boston area. But we're from D.C. originally and
Oh, wow.
military brats. So lived in the Philippines as kids, lived all over the South, you know. So we've been around, but somehow I ended up in fucking Milwaukee of all places.
My dad lived in the
All
Philippines.
roads lead to Milwaukee.
Oh, yeah? Like as a retiree or?
Yeah. He married a Filipino woman and they lived in, I can't remember the town. They were in Bacolor for a while, but then it got destroyed by the Pinatubo.
Yep.
We left right before that happened, like 2 months or something before that, I think.
Then he bought a house in a gated community in Angeles.
Mm-hmm. That's where we lived.
were.
Yeah.
Clark
I was just back there like in January for the first time in 30 years.
Awesome. I visited him there twice, but not lately. He died probably 7 years ago now. But
longer than that, before we met.
Oh, yeah. It was more than that.
We've been together 10.
Yikes. Probably 12 years ago then. Anyway.
You know Tito James?
Tito James.
Rings a bell, but refreshing.
That's what her dad was called when he lived in the Philippines.
You're asking if we knew someone there, like the legend.
I am 100% convinced her dad was NSA, CIA, because he worked for like construction in Illinois, and all of a sudden he's working on computers in Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Interesting.
We know the story here.
Yeah, when we went to visit him in the Philippines, he took us to the president's mansion.
Yeah, we visited that too. Yeah, Marcos's the shoe collection. Did you see Melda's shoe collection too?
Oh, I have that
in the basement.
And then we went to a national park there, and it was all closed up. We drove for hours to get to this national park, and there were gates across the thing, and this guy comes out and goes, "Tito James," and opened up the gate and let us in.
Oh shit!
So we were the only people in the whole freaking national park that day.
Just saying,
it was pretty cool. But
Tito James.
We have to ask our stepdad if he had ever heard of.
I think we got our new pseudonym, Chris. Cactus Shack, a Tito James film. Speaking of which, this is a hard out my favorite movie episode we're doing now with Doug Johnson and Brett Saladino. We just did our first Fast Friends episode with them, where we reach out to and try and talk to all of my 800 plus Facebook friends. So the journey has begun. You guys kicked it off, set the bar way high.
We feel when you said we were the first ones you reached out to, we were both very, very moved by that.
Yeah.
Dude, like I said,
we love your posts. We love your brain. We truly love how your brain works. And it's like, you see Facebook friends, you friend them up and you see their post. You're like, yeah. And then there's you. And we're like,
thanks,
we got to get together with this guy and have a couple of beers and sit around and solve all the world's problems.
Absolutely.
Chris is not very active on social media, but he's just as much, if not more so, someone you would probably want to talk to, have a beer with.
I
don't know what it is about me. I'm not compelled at all to get on and type my thoughts or anything for some reason on particularly social media. It just doesn't. It's partly because I just don't. It's a Pandora's box to me. Like I just don't want to introduce that and then get consumed somewhat by it and everything. I don't know, but it's just not my nature. I think that's the primary thing. My free will. I have no free will. It doesn't do it for me.
Fuck that.
Yeah, right. That's true.
It's chaos and entropy.
Yeah. But anyway, we're here today to discuss your two favorite films. This is another segment or whatever you want to call offshoot of our Hard Out show to discuss the favorite films of our guests. And we're doing both of yours today. So you want to tell us what your favorite films are?
Sorry, where's the beer?
Look at the microphone. Well, I'll start. My favorite film is Parenthood by with Ron Howard as the director, Steve Martin as the star. I think it came out in 79. No,
it's
89. 89.
Yeah.
And it has been my favorite film since the first time I saw it. It is the only film that I can think of that makes me laugh and cry. And I've probably seen it 50 times and it still makes me laugh and cry. And it gives
amazing.
Such an incredible sense of community and hope and family. I just absolutely adore it.
I rewatched it a few days ago. Hadn't seen it since the early 90s probably. It's great. It really is great. It's all the things you say. And the cast is stacked.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
It's not just Steve Martin, it's Diane Wiest, it's
Joaquin Phoenix.
A national treasure. Joaquin Phoenix as Lee Phoenix.
And Mary Steenburgen and Tom.
Steve Martin's a national treasure as well, of course.
Yeah.
What is his first name? Hulse. Tom
Hulse. Wolfgang Amadeus.
And Rick Moranis, and I mean, it's
fucking. Did you see some asshole punched Rick Moranis, like sucker punch?
Yeah, in an airport or some shit.
No, it was just on the street.
No, there's someone who needs a death penalty.
Fuck yeah!
Right.
You got to watch our previous episode, people. It was a fucking firecracker, and we got into all that shit. Free will, which I think we'll touch on again with your favorite movie, Doug, which is
Bruce Almighty. Yeah, you know, I think about that a lot. Because I watch.
How do you feel being hooked up with someone whose favorite movie is Bruce Almighty?
I hate that movie.
We were wondering if he subjected you to it all the time.
I sit next to him and I watch it. And
dude, it makes me so happy though that you guys both have these. We are film guys. We are filmmakers, screenwriters. A lot of our guests in this series will be pro screenwriters and filmmakers that we know, and we're going to get a lot of Criterion Collection type films and. You know, these are just two down home, real folks fucking movie picks, and I love that. Parenthood, no one else is going to pick that. I guarantee you. Your movie.
I know we're all like, you know,
Bruce Almighty,
and Godfather, and shit like that. And
Bruce Almighty is arguably like the 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. You know, it's arguably like the 10th best Jim Carrey movie or something. So, your favorite is profoundly awesome to me. You know, it means that you have to have some connection to it. That's what we're really looking for.
I'm a movie nut. You can ask Brett. I watch probably in an average week. I probably watch 7 movies,
maybe 10. Maybe 10.
I have done.
That's how I was before I had a kid and started making movies. Now I don't have time to fucking watch them anymore, which is part of the reason we started this too. That we would watch your films. You know,
I watched all Friday 13th films in a weekend. I watched all the Freddy films in a weekend. I remember going to Nord Video down the street from home, and I'd go there on Friday. And I'd pick up like 7, and then I'd go back on Saturday to get more.
Yes, man, it's my own heart. That's how it was for years.
And they're like, I'd walk through there and go, "Crap, I've seen all the ones I want to watch all the way to." You know, so
there were times where Jay and I had seen every movie on the marquee at the theaters and stuff, and constantly.
So when I think about, you know, when you ask what's your favorite film, I mean, 2001.
Yes.
Bloody fantastic film. I saw it on the Navy Pier in 70mm director's cut.
Fuck yes.
I mean, it was phenomenal. Glorious. You know, and are there better movies than Bruce Almighty? Yeah, easily. And undoubtedly.
So there's like 10 Jim Carrey movies that are better.
Yeah, but so when I saw Bruce Almighty in the theater, I was there with my sisters and my nephew John. So my nephew John committed suicide 3 years ago, January. So there's a lot of really personal attachment to that film because we're sitting in a theater and 2 of us are on the floor, not looking at the screen anymore. So you've seen the movie, you know, and I try not to think about the scene because if I think about it, I'll just laugh till I cry. You know, when he's doing when Steve Carell's doing newscasting.
My nipples.
Yeah. My nipples. Yeah, exactly. So that movie there's such a personal attachment to that film because of who I saw it with the first time. Yes. But then that movie is all about, there's a guy who's lost and he can't figure out his way through life and he's just given up on everything. And then, you know, God taps him on the shoulder and says, "Look, you tried this shit," you know? And he's like, "Oh, this is really hard. Maybe I should just figure out how to be happy." And then he figures out just to be himself. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, that's what we all do. I mean, that's why I love the movie so much. It's you know,
Well, apropos to our previous discussion where free will and ego played a large role, it's your solipsism, right? That the movie is effectively about you, hence it's your favorite.
Exactly. But no,
yes.
assuming free will exists, it's about a guy figuring out that what he needs to be happy is just to relax and enjoy his life and understand that what he has is enough.
Yeah.
And so many of us, the whole ego thing, we all want is a terrible word.
Because he's not just
want, need.
He's striving for something. He has this ambition. He wants to be the anchor, the nighttime anchor that Steve Carell is, the news anchor, but he's out sent on fluff pieces and shit.
Oh, and then he's on the mist and he thinks he's gonna get it.
Right.
Which is funny because once you get the powers of God, like I'd kind of give up that ambition of being the anchor guy or whatever and go like why is that still your priority? Of course,
exactly.
It's for the purposes of the movie. It's not meant to be taken
seriously. But it is though. It's like he had that one track mind. That's his flaw.
Yes.
Right. That even when he gets the powers of God, instead of fixing homelessness and child disease and shit and all this, he's still trying to fuck with Evan, the newscaster. It's like just such an abuse of power or a
exactly
allocation of power,
Except for
it's all driven by his ego,
So your choice of this as a favorite film is not just like the film itself, but the meaning to you, obviously, the context in which you watched it, the people you were with, all those other things.
Yeah, it's very much the whole, how much I enjoy the film and the people I saw it the first time and how much I enjoy watching it. Probably that, Dodgeball and Indiana Jones are probably the movies and 500 Days of Summer are probably the movies I've watched the most. So but that movie, there's just that, and it's just such,
the energy, just the laughs. Would it be your desert island movie?
Trite and,
if you were stuck on a desert island, would this be the movie you bring?
Yeah, because that's a movie I can literally watch at any time. I could throw it in and watch it and be done watching it and be completely happy and satisfied anytime I watch that movie.
And Brett, I think if you were on a desert island, you would take Parenthood as well.
Yeah, I'd be on the other side watching my movie.
That's what I want to ask too, is how it's great having two people on at once, especially two people who are a couple or whatever the fuck you want to use the word. I don't know.
We're living in sin. We're shacking up.
Shacking up. I honestly don't know if I would take Parenthood to a desert island because honestly, it is such an emotional film, and if I was on a desert island, I might not want all that emotion. But it's
Bruce Almighty's your desert island pick too.
No, because I really.
Well, if you're stuck there together, it might be.
Bruce Almighty is why they're not yet married.
No, I honestly on a desert island, I don't know, maybe Castaway. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know.
Meta.
Or
right, exactly.
Or Pirates of the Caribbean, or I don't know.
Will there be rum?
Be different. Yeah, if there's rum, then Pirates.
Yeah, we just talked to a guy yesterday about Jaws. Jaws is his favorite film, and he said it would be his desert island film. I'm like, that's the last shit I want to see if I'm on an island surrounded by oceanic waters. I said the Castaway thing too. I'm like, man, I'd pick Castaway and use that shit as a tutorial to get out of there,
Exactly. If I was on a desert island, I'd want some eye candy too.
Actually,
it's got to be a beautiful man in it, and Parenthood doesn't have that.
You make a good point, Jay. I might have to research.
Yeah,
I might have to research if there's a film out there about making a boat and getting off an island, like actually the actual how to build, that'd be my desert island movie, a documentary about how to build a boat.
It's Gilligan's Island.
Yes,
right.
Professor is the man.
Yeah.
So why do you think Parenthood is so emotional for you? Because a lot of people will watch it. I watched it and really appreciated it, but it's not. I don't think it made me cry, but I know points that would. But I'm saying for you, it seems to really hit that tuning fork. What do you think it is about this movie versus all the others? Is there some? Can you relate from a dysfunctional family point of view, or how you and your siblings get along, if you have any? Is that
crazy dysfunction in our family? Crazy dysfunction.
Tito James? No way.
Oh my god. Well, my parents got divorced when I was very young. And my mom remarried, not legally, 4 times to some really, really horrible men. And we moved. By the time I was 18, I had 27 different mailing addresses. We moved all the time. And so I didn't have any stability in my life. I only had my mom and my older brother. That was it. And everything else changed all the time. There was, in our family, there was drug use. There were people in and out of jail. There were child molesters. There were, horrible, horrible dysfunction. And yet we'd get together at Thanksgiving and we all acted like we loved each other. And I guess we did. But, and so when I watched the movie, I don't have those specific characters in my family, but they're all placeholders for people that I have. And watching them relate to one another and still really love each other. And it's quite obvious that they do really love each other in almost every scene.
Yeah.
And that scene when Keanu gets in the car accident and his girlfriend is freaking out and, oh my God, I can't deal. And the mom grabs her and says, "This is marriage." Mm-hmm. That right there gets me every time. Every time. It's like the waterworks. I just, this is it. This is it. You love someone to the point that anything that happens to them also happens to you. Mm. And if you're not that if you're not that invested in it, you're not doing it right.
Right.
It's unconditional love with your whole self every moment of every day, no matter how fucked up people are. And yeah, it's just the most powerful film to me. And I also think the comedy is fabulous.
Yes. A lot of great zingers and shit.
There's such amazing funny lines that, he likes to butt things with his head, and Steve Martin goes, "How proud you must be."
Yes.
I bust out laughing every time, and I've seen it 40 times. That is a perfect line.
It's just so much about, like, everyone's coming from the same place of wanting the best for their kids or whatever, but it speaks to parenting styles like Rick Moranis and his the way he's molding this poor, unfortunate child to be the super person, I wonder, you both have kids who are older now, probably late teens, early 20s or something, maybe?
They're all grown.
Yeah,
the youngest
mine were
is
born
19.
in 95 and 97, so.
Right, and you are both much different people when you raised them than you are now. We spoke in our previous conversation, Doug, how you were much more conservative and just unhappy in general and everything. Do you guys ever think about what you would raise a child like now together? Like if one ended up on your doorstep, or you.
If we raised a child now, it'd be the Bhagavad Gita.
I was actually not in a good place in my marriage and my kids either, and I was a shitty mom, and I have apologized to them repeatedly that, I'm sorry, but I did the best I could with what I had. I was just so emotionally threadbare that I didn't have enough to give to my kids. And in apologizing to them sincerely, they have both accepted that, and I think we are good friends now.
Yep.
But both of my kids have some pretty serious emotional issues because of things that I did early on.
I'm sure your upbringing,
right,
had a part of turn to the free will thing again. It probably influenced a lot of who you were.
Yeah. And, I dealt with my stress by practicing avoidance. And I wasn't there for them.
Avoidance.
Yeah, that's my exactly.
Yeah,
avoidance is my
homework. Which is probably why that scene where she grabs her and says, "This is marriage," is so poignant to me, because I would have been the kid running. I can't deal. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what her ex-husband
running away does feel
where
like another kid.
He obviously ran out on the family, and then there's that scene near the end, heartbreaker. This might be a moment where you cry, where Joaquin Phoenix calls the dad and wants to go stay with him, and you don't hear the other end of the phone, but you know what is said, and he hangs up, heartbroken, essentially, that the dad rejected him because the dad's just avoiding that responsibility. He wants to pretend like it doesn't exist or something, you know. And then he goes and of course he trashes this dentist office, which is great.
Yep.
Leaves his hammer with his initials on it behind.
Yeah. No, that was
whirly shit.
And you know, my folks, well, Tito James and my mom got divorced when I was 2, and I barely knew him until I was 18. And for my graduation from high school, he sent me a plane ticket to go visit him in the Philippines. And it's the first time in my life I actually talked to him like a human being. We were both adults, and I went, wow, he's a really complex character.
Did he leave because your mom was so hard to manage, or do you think part of her being so flighty and I don't know what word you would use?
Nomadic?
Yeah, nomadic.
Well,
you know.
Well, it was a match made in hell to begin with. He was bisexual and was marrying women. He's had
Should've went to Thailand, not the Philippines.
He's had 4 or 5 wives in his life, and everyone was a way to try and make himself more respectable in the world. I know I'm not gay, I have a wife, kind of thing. And
the beard,
yeah, exactly.
And then my mom found out about it, couldn't handle it, and basically lost her mind and took us away. So it was just dysfunction at all levels. Nobody in my family's ever been honest with one another.
Parenthood ends
like humans
kind of healthier note where everyone's kind of arced and learned a little bit. So I imagine that's part of why you love it, and it makes you feel good because it's almost a fantasy like in that respect. That
puts a nice little bow on it, you know.
And at the end there's all the new babies being born, and it's hope that maybe they're finally going to get it right. You know.
I mean, generally it does seem it is true that we're improving as a civilization when it comes to upbringing children and stuff. Like it's nowadays, beating your kids is frowned upon much more and things like that. Abuse in general, you know.
I think it comes around.
I'm hopeful somewhat. I mean, especially when you go way back to dark ages to today, or ancient times to today, you know, generally it may be incremental and we may make a lot of steps backward, but it does seem somewhat hopeful that we'll keep moving forward in that direction.
Well, it's the whole 3 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's all about trend lines. We are getting better as a whole over time, but we had these moments where things just go off the rails completely.
Wars and things, you know.
Yeah.
And I think the whole helicopter parenting is absolutely a step backwards.
An overcorrection,
Hey, man, I got a 7-year-old son, and I got to admit, that is fucking hard, though, because we grew up wild, and are so much better for it. And we faced hard things, and we had to overcome them, and we dealt with tragedy, and we lived, like, we were the only white kids in our neighborhood. Oxon Hill, Maryland, right outside D.C. in the Beltway. Our dad was this crazy motherfucker called Butch Thornton who he was like a mechanic and sold all the tools of his trade and traded his work van in for a motorcycle. And he would just like a honky tonk outlaw type. And they got married or had kids way too young. Like our mom got pregnant with Chris at 16.
Wow.
He was an 8th grade dropout, I think.
Wow.
You know, so he took off. And I feel like we're better for it. Like if he had stuck around, I wouldn't be as good a dad as I am or everything. But what I was really getting at is the helicopter parenting thing. Like it's so hard with my kid. I want to let him run in the woods like we did, but then my mind immediately goes to Paradise Lost and the West Memphis 3 or whatever, and somebody's going to fucking butcher him in the woods. And it's so hard to reconcile giving your kid that freedom to go out and make mistakes and get in a little trouble and everything versus wanting to protect them.
Yeah.
I think that's, I was way too protective of my kids when I was there. And then in between that, I neglected them entirely, which left them without no coping skills whatsoever. I think Doug has done a much better job with his kids of teaching them how to cope. His kids are probably both quite a bit more mature than mine are.
Were your kids planned? Or what, were you prepared to be, or is that something you don't want to publicly air?
My kids, my wife was like, I want to have a kid in August. Get to the workbench.
August 12th.
Okay.
Ovulating.
So yeah, my daughter was born on June 13th, which was absolutely planned. And then my son was born on August 23rd, which was absolutely planned. I mean,
Doug's scary fertile.
Which is why as soon as my son was 6 months old, I went and saw Dr. Ferber, who has very warm hands.
Man, we might need to get him on the podcast because honestly, I've been trying to find a urologist to come on the podcast and give me a pro bono vasectomy. Because even with my health insurance, it's like $600 out of pocket.
It was great. No, yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, both of ours are planned, without a doubt. Kelly is very... the mother of my children is an absolutely wonderful woman. I love her to death. But yeah, she wanted to have... Yeah, she wanted to have a kid, and then she wanted to have another kid. And she didn't want to know the sex of the second one, of the son. I'm like, no, we got to find out. Why? Because if you think it's going to be a girl and it comes out a boy, it's going to be bad, really, really bad. Mm-hmm. So I made her find out the sex of our second kid because I knew how hard it would be if it came out different than what was in her brain.
Right.
And her brain was girl. So glad I did that. But yeah,
it's time to prepare.
You know, I wasn't a good dad. You know, I spent a lot of time in my depression and avoidance.
Maybe then it was because Kelly was a good mom.
Kelly was a phenomenal mom. Absolutely. Yeah. Kelly is the amount of work that Kelly did to make sure our kids grew up well and healthy and safe is absolutely phenomenal. I can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, if you're going to plan,
she had to make up for my,
right.
You know, she had to make up for my deficit because I was just so withdrawn and depressed.
In the muck. Yeah.
And I, on the other hand, was married to a stay-at-home dad who was incredibly depressed all the time and took it out by watching online porn, probably 20 hours a day.
Oof.
And wouldn't do any housework and wouldn't, you know, he's a stay-at-home dad and he wouldn't take the kids to the museum or take them out in the backyard and play ball with them or anything. He just ignored them completely for the most part.
Sad.
And so then I would come home exhausted from work and I was too tired to care for them and I would resent them and, you know, tuck them in bed angrily, like, God damn it, why do you need everything from me? So it was a rough time, but I did the best that I knew how. And like I said, I've apologized. We've talked it out. We've cried a lot. And I think we're friends now. I think we get along now and they come to me when they have questions and issues and stuff, but
I think that's rough. The appeal of parenthood.
The movie or
the movie?
All right.
The movie. Going back to the movie. You know, it's kind of idealistic. But that's what movies do for us.
Like she said, it's very hopeful.
But that's what movies do for us, right?
Yeah. Jerry Seinfeld once said that a show or a movie is often just a place. If it's a good place you want to be, you know, then it's inviting, you know, and that has that quality to me.
I mean, that's why, you know, if I'm in a bad head place, I watch Bruce Almighty or Dodgeball or Pick a Destiny. You know, those are my movies.
Yes, that's
when I'm in a bad place here and I can't get centered again. Mm-hmm. It's one of those three movies. Mm-hmm. Those movies are just grounding. There's such a disconnect from everything else.
More just silly. Yeah. Silliness.
Yeah. That it lets me completely unplug from anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, you know, the movie Parenthood is. It's just it lets you disconnect and it lets you look at this idealized view of, I mean, who wouldn't want Steve Martin for a dad?
Oh my God.
I want Steve Martin for a dad. Okay. I mean, my parents are dead. Why? I either want Steve Martin or I want Will and Anna Wheaton.
Or Bill Murray.
No, Bill Murray is a whole different level.
Bill Murray's a dad.
Bill Murray's a whole nother podcast here.
Yeah, right. Totally.
I mean,
legend. Talk about legend.
I have Bill Murray tattooed on my calf.
Yeah. Oh shit!
Yeah,
from a particular role or just.
Let me look. I have a shirt that
see
shows.
it. Oh, okay.
So I have this.
That's the tattoo.
Nice.
I have this on my calf.
Yep.
What is it?
Yes.
Penny bombs or something? No,
yeah.
No,
so
just
that's how much I like Bill Murray.
Okay.
I have like
That's what's him.
I have like 15 Bill Murray T-shirts.
Love it.
I mean, Bill Murray is the. I mean, look at the way he gets hired for movies. You call his 800 number.
Yes, no agent or whatever. Just leave a voicemail.
I mean,
no offense to our manager, Sydney. Love you, dude. Our agent Max, whatever. That is a dream. 800 number.
Have you watched any of the movie about him? God, what was that movie we just watched? A documentary about how he just shows up at random places and like Ken's bar.
Well, I was going to say that's famous that he does that. He like crashes weddings and things. But what my favorite one is, someone said they were eating like outdoors at a restaurant in New York or something, and he just strolled by and reached in and grabbed a fry off their plate and ate it and said, "No one will believe you," and just walked away.
Fucking legend.
Go ahead, though. The documentary.
But yeah, I mean, Bill Murray is this agent of chaos. He's Loki of our times.
Yes.
You know, he's. If you look at Greek mythology, and you got all these gods, you know,
it's like mischief, though. It's like a harmless.
He's playfulness. He's an absolute agent of chaos, and that's why I love him so much. And that's why, you know, movies like Lost in Translation or
Mad Rushmore.
Rushmore, I mean, he's done these amazing, iconic roles over time, and so many of these are just like, you know, everybody's seen Zombieland. You know, he's a zombie, and he gets killed, and then he shows up in the next one. You know, it's just.
I even really liked Broken Flowers.
I was just about to mention that Jim Jarmusch's Broken Flowers, like these little understated roles that he took later in his career. Because early on, it was like Caddyshack, and,
right?
I mean, there was Where the Buffalo Roam, where he played Hunter S. Thompson.
But you know, that's
Razor's Edge. There were some different ones in there, but for the most part, it was he was known as goofy,
like Scrooge, Ghostbusters, like some of these, you know, bigger like tentpole sort of movies and stuff.
What was the one we just saw?
Oh, the newest one. That Sofia Coppola did.
Oh yeah, shit.
I mean, it's like recent, like within the last month it came out.
Yeah, it just came out this year.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's what movies do to us. I mean, that's why I've always been a movie fan. You watch a movie and you plug in and you watch a movie and you check out. That's why I love musicals so much.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. That's it.
God, it's a great movie.
Oh, it was so good.
Shit.
But you know, I mean, that's what movies do for us, right? They give us this hour and a half, 2.5 hours, where we just completely escape from our life and our dreams and our hopes, and we just plug into hopefully some other character that's in this film that we can attach to, or maybe just a general story that we apply ourselves to.
Or sometimes we just hate them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a power in that too. No, I mean characters. Some of the times you appreciate a movie because you hate the character.
Well, Cactus Jack's going to have that effect on a lot of people.
I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to Cactus Jack. I'm like, I know people.
Man, it's.
But never watch my movie.
What movie did you make?
I made a movie called.
This is a feature film.
Yeah. Oh, you could rent it on Netflix for a while. It was called the Legend Trip.
Don't rent
Legend.
it.
Mark Metcalf.
Come on, you know we got to do it. Now.
We got to get Mark Metcalf on.
Mark Metcalf. So he comes to set, right? So we're at Jason's brother's house to shoot the scenes that night, and so I got to back up just a hair. So the reason I got involved with these guys making a movie is because I was always the guy who was showing up like 24 hours early to see the movies first at West Town in Waukesha. My longest movie line was 23 hours.
Crazy. What movie?
That was the second of the new trilogy of Star Wars, which I feel bad about, but you know, I did it anyhow. But
that movie comes up in every fucking podcast we do.
So
it really does.
That's how I met these guys. The guys doing the movie, I met them standing in line for these movies over year after year after year. So we're getting ready to shoot this year, and I'm like, Mark Metcalf. I'm like, oh wow, this is like a guy. He's on Buffy.
Maestro from Seinfeld.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like a guy. He shows up, And he was always doing. I don't know how long you've been in Milwaukee, but he was doing a lot of these shows at was it 103? There was a rock morning show he did in Milwaukee. Sorry, I said it more than two syllables. Milwaukee. And he came and he had a box of swag for us. It was T-shirts and CDs from a band called Rictus Grin. It was like
nice.
And that's one of my highest watched videos on YouTube is this video of Rictus Grin from the Eagles Club, which we had to ourselves to film part of the scene, which never made it into the movie. So here's what we did. We shot a bunch of movie.
Well, what's the log line of this movie? What's the premise?
Who's with the axe? The woman with the axe that killed all the people.
Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden. It's kind of a Lizzie Borden-esque thing. But yeah, so Mark was on set. He brought all the swag, and it was just awesome.
Horror movie.
Great guy. No, here's the thing. It's a good B horror film, but the sound, we had no idea.
At Brett's face as you say this.
We had no idea what we were doing as far as sound goes.
I've tried to watch it twice.
And if you've made movies,
12 minutes
if the sound isn't good,
turn it off.
It doesn't matter.
You're absolutely right about sound quality.
Yeah,
if we could,
so bad.
I really think if we could go back and we could ADR the entire movie, it could go someplace.
Had a really good soundtrack.
Well, the soundtrack's a guy named Lee Phillips who worked on Spider-Man.
Crazy.
And Jason, the guy who directed Jason Satterfield from Milwaukee, who directed it.
Did he direct that New Day movie for Michael Gough? Satterfield sounds familiar.
Well, he did a lot of work with, what's the guy from Kenosha who does all the gay porn, not gay porn, gay-centric, he did a gay version of Fatal Attraction. Jason, what's his name? God, I can't think of it. But he's down in Racine. He does all the, he does B horror films of regular
I know people who have worked with that Satterfield dude on some shit.
But yeah, Jason's a great director. God, he's got an eye. And his ability to edit is phenomenal. But yeah, our sound was, we're doing a 2 scene, right? So we're shooting this guy, then we're shooting this guy, right? And it's the sound is it's
you clean a lot of that up in post, man. You got to find a good sound editor.
He tried. So we were going to do a second film.
Or ADR, maybe.
Yeah, the whole thing needs to be ADR. Just take all the sound
hard
out.
To sync to their lips.
Yeah.
It gets iffy. Here's what you do. ADR, dub it in another language, and just make it look like this is.
There you go.
Spanish version of your movie.
There you go.
And then we were going to
subtitle it.
That's great.
So we were to do a second movie. We actually bought a really good script,
like Swahili or something. Go ahead.
I was really happy with the script for the second film. We actually did auditions. So when you were doing the auditions, I wore a suit and I'm sitting in the back. I was playing the part.
The producer.
Remember the Wisconsin lottery girl, Lori Minetti?
No.
Her sister came in because she has a twin sister, and she auditioned. Remember the guys from what's that American Horror Film from Milwaukee? Those guys.
American Movie.
American movie. Yeah. With the Coven. Yeah. Yes. So the guy with the curly hair came in to audition, and he did one sentence in one breath, and it took 4 So awesome. All these people came in to audition. It was really cool. Got a great script, shot a bunch of really good stuff. And then the special effects company we hired to do all the special effects, they stole all her money.
What? What was the name of the company? Was it a local?
Lightning Rod Studios.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they're out of business now. But the guy who ran it was a lawyer. So he's like, if you come after us, we're going to sue you for everything we have. We don't have anything. So for a brief period of time, I was a movie studio executive of Stone Light Films.
Do you still have any aspirations to make films?
Yes. I love the industry. I love the idea of giving people that escape. I'm on IMDb as the Supreme Overlord because they asked me, what do you want to be on IMDb? Supreme Overlord. My figures show up in the film. All you see is my hand on a girl's shoulder. Yeah. So we're shooting this film. And we're in Waukesha. We're going to go shoot some stuff at Carroll College down the street. And these people drop off their daughter. And Jordan's like this 18-year-old Irish dancer, just amazingly gorgeous girl. And her parents just like drop her off like a stranger's house.
To be in your film.
Yeah, I'm like,
to be in your snuff film.
And then she died. But yeah, I mean, I've always been such a movie nut.
We have a CD copy of it, don't we? The Legend Track.
I sent it to somebody. I bought it because we went to Jason's place and we recorded the commentary track. Yes. And then without telling us, he scrapped it, re-recorded it, and released the DVD.
So you're not on the commentary?
I'm not on the commentary.
Speaking of commentary, Jay and I watched Bruce Almighty last night and recorded our conversation as we watched it.
Nice.
Awesome.
And we paused it for like an hour and talked about all kinds of crazy shit that I don't even know if I'm comfortable airing.
I'd love to hear that.
Nothing incriminating really, but just deep stuff, sort of confessional stuff. And
but but
it would be a trip to someday.
I mean, that's what it's about.
Or get your reaction to it.
My comfort zone dictates we do not release that now that I'm sobered up.
Well, then you should just send it to me.
Free will.
We'll listen to it.
We have no free will. We can't give it to you. Sorry.
You have no choice. I mean, that's what, I think that's why I've always been into movies and television and stuff. It's just, it's an escape. It's a disconnect. It's a, so here's, thinking about our previous podcast is, I love shows like, Eli Stone.
I haven't watched it.
So Eli Stone, it's about a guy who starts to hear things, music in his brain, and he becomes like a prophet. Or Saving Grace with Holly Hunter.
I haven't watched it. I don't watch shit. I got a 7-year-old.
Saving lives.
Wild
Or The Good Place.
Or The Good Place.
My wife watched it.
Maybe you should have the movie review podcast.
I know.
Stop.
We don't watch it.
But
see it all.
Or Joan of Arcadia.
Once again,
he really gets into all these stories that are so religious and
God Friended Me.
Yes, I see that theme between them.
Yep.
So many of the shows I really like and I really feel drawn to and attached to are these shows where people are cued into something and they're trying to do something larger than themselves to change the world. And so many of them are through, a god or some kind of holy figure, a deity.
Mm-hmm.
But all these shows my favorite shows are all based in this something which I have no attachment to or no belief in, but those are the shows that draw me in the most, which I've always.
Well, did you ever watch Carnival on HBO?
Oh my God. And it quit after 2 seasons.
I know.
But like those moments where he would heal someone, like that scene where he heals the girl, I think it was, in like a little pond or something, and all the fish die because he sucked their life force. All those healing moments, those Christ healing moments, man, brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
There's just something so powerful and beautiful about healing and just that kind of altruism and selflessness or whatever. That religion appeals to me on many levels.
And
but I just can't buy it. Sorry.
I 100% believe in faith healing.
Really?
I have no doubt.
The psychosomatic.
Yeah. I have no doubt that
faith
healing happens. No, zero. It happens all the time.
I mean, not limbs growing back, of course, but things that can be psychosomatic,
Yeah.
Even the healing rate, like in voodoo or whatever, that I believe this is a thing where they break the chicken's leg because it heals faster than the humans, and they say yours will heal at the same speed, and it seems to work. It's just probably the mind over matter sort of.
I think a lot of it is just setting the mind at ease so that there's less stress and less cortisol and less inflammation, and the body can focus on healing and shit. It's just
from my background in ToxPath.
Let's hear from you on this.
I learned probably 25 years ago that the placebo effect is getting stronger. Whether it's society or personal beliefs or religion or what, the placebo.
It could even be natural selection.
It could.
That
it could.
It's working because it's working, and it actually does make people survive from things.
But in veterinary medicine for hundreds of years, veterinarians were almost showmen. And, you'd go out with a horse who had a limp and you were like, well, I don't really know what's causing the limp, but you know what? I'm going to put some potassium permanganate and some other stuff on his hoof, and it's going to make this purple smoke that puffs up from the hoof, and it's going to look really amazing. And then the owner will say, his limp got better. And so
it's just wishful thinking or something.
Yeah.
And they spend money on it, so you want to believe it works.
Or the thrush cleared itself up or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think in veterinary medicine that was harnessed in a lot of ways. And I even see it now. I hate to say this, but I think there are some pet owners that you tell them that their animal is terminal and it's going to die and you can't do a goddamn thing about it. And you say, but I can try this one last thing. And then they get a week of, he's so much better. Thank you so much. I got these last few days with him. And a lot of it is placebo because we want to believe. We really, really, really want to believe. And so, I think that's a huge human nature thing.
Just the evolutionary biology.
Yep, absolutely.
Facet, feature of humanity.
And the fact that, when we introduce a new drug to the market, it has to be significantly better than the placebo. And since the placebo effect is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, it's getting harder and harder to find new drugs that really work.
Yeah. So is it like the placebo effect is like exponentially getting, or is it, 10% more prevalent, or are we talking like a doubling, a tripling or something? Like,
I don't think it's quite doubled, but it's pretty close.
Damn, that's significant.
It is. Very. It is. And so that's why, when you're dealing with someone who's sick, sometimes the laying on the hands, the touching, the
showing them Bruce Almighty,
contact, make them laugh, give them some soup and say, this soup is medicinal. My grandma made it and it always corrected us when we were sick.
I feel better.
Yeah.
All of those things
Adonis blood.
All of those things help. And, we're
QAnon here.
We're so likely
kid blood in it. Adrenochrome soup.
Adrenochrome. But we want a pill that'll cure everything, when a lot of times you can get so much benefit from human contact and from belief and from, being there for one another. And that can have a huge impact on health.
Absolutely. Now, I love that we've veered so far off these movies.
I know, it's just crazy.
That's what we do, though.
We're not that far off, though. I mean, we're really not that far off.
Exactly.
I want to ask something that's far off. We're
going to talk about Howard the Duck now?
We should. Give me 1 second.
How'd you know my favorite?
I don't know how much time we have left, but give me one total veer off of the movies. I made a QAnon joke. You, I know, had gone on Parler. We've been dying to talk to someone about Parler on this show.
Oh,
so tell us your Parler experience.
Oh boy. So I went on Parler because a couple of people on Facebook put, hey, we've seen this thread on Parler. Seen this. I'm like, that can't be real. And I go on Parler and so I set up an account. I actually set up a whole new Gmail account for it.
Yes.
Which I can't remember anymore. But I set it up and I went on Parler. I'm like, holy shit.
And for those who don't know, like our mother-in-law and shit, Parler is basically another social media platform.
I mean,
designed by like Cambridge Analytica or whatever, right? Like it's a conservative think tank essentially behind it, I think. But it's supposed to be free from sorry, I'm just getting some messages coming through. It's supposed to be free from any kind of oversight or censorship or anything.
They're censoring.
Well, their most claim of us to fame, what they advertise is that it's something just happened to I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, you can't.
Hello. They advertise they're all about free
speech.
You
unplugged yourself.
Back to the rescue.
Myself.
Technical difficulties.
I got it. I know this. Ready? All right. Let me just slide this in right there.
There you are.
Oh, hit my spot.
But
I need a cigarette.
But they advertise that they're all about free speech. But I've got several friends who've gone on there and set up accounts and immediately been banned because they were too liberal.
Right.
Hilarious.
So, we all live...
people who run it, or I guess that's the only people who can ban it.
Yeah.
Right?
So, we all live in echo chambers, right?
Exactly.
we all try to stay with people we like. I mean, in this last, I have unfriended more people than makes me happy, and unfollowed a bunch of people because of all this shit going on with the election and everything. But imagine that, but like this big and like hyper intensified. That's what Parler is.
Right, but this is kind of the thing where, all right, sunlight is the best antiseptic. Like, we shouldn't be censoring on Facebook, because that's what I'm saying. Facebook, though, shouldn't even shut down these QAnon crazy conspiracy bullshit theories or anything. We need to. The problem, though, is you drive those people into those caves, and then they go into their
stay over there. And we're rational over here, and we believe the Earth is round.
And when they vacate, Facebook does become a liberal woke echo chamber. Yes. And then they all go to Parler, and that becomes the troll echo chamber or whatever. And somebody told me, my buddy who also kind of went incognito there undercover, said the most hilarious, ironic thing, that retweet or whatever in Parler is called an echo. like, how do you not see what you're doing
unaware, or that's intentionally ironic?
That's the problem with what's going on right now, though. Since Trump, we have been pushing that side that way and this side that way more and more and more. And the stuff in the middle is becoming so small. I mean, it used to be kind of like a Venn diagram where there were two circles, then there was an intersect, and, but now it looks like a freaking dumbbell. We got a ball over there, and you got a ball over there, and you got this thin line between them. And I mean,
rational humanists exist.
Yeah. And that's, the stuff I've seen in Parler. I mean, I've seen people threatening to kill people and go and kill politicians. And
there was that one that somebody posted where a guy is like, if every one of us kill 2 liberals, then I
posted that. Yes.
And
I'm like,
fucking frightening.
This is terrifying.
I'm not a liberal, by the way, just so you don't kill.
And this is,
I'm not.
And this is what Trump is going for. He knows he lost. He's not going for a win. He's going for making sure his people believe he won. But now we've really digressed from.
Oh yeah, big time.
Well, that's again what movies are for, though. They get us talking about the world, and
we can talk about the movie Dave.
Okay.
Where the president dies.
With the Kevin Kline one, or
where the president dies and a new guy takes his place.
The look-alike. Yeah. It's a good one.
Manchurian Candidates.
There are a lot of great political comedies and satires,
Wag the Dog.
Primary Colors, Wag the Dog.
Yeah. Yes.
Primary Colors is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wag the Dog
was Travolta as Clinton, right?
Yeah, basically. I think Esther Huss wrote that one, maybe. Or was that Wag the Dog? I forget. Anyway, fuck. I don't know how much time we have left here. That's why we don't mind digressing away from the movies, because it's
not at all.
What more is there to say about Parenthood? I don't know. What more is there to say about Bruce Almighty? Well, here's a good question for both of you. If you somehow got imbued with the powers of God, what would you start to tackle first?
Well, that's a hard question. I
that promotion at the office.
Doug knows his answer because he's thought about it watching Bruce Almighty 400 times.
I personally would try harder to minimize hate in people's minds. I mean, I would take away a lot of the petty hate if I had that power, and make people see the similarities, not the difference.
Remove their free will.
Yeah, actually. Well, God can do that. So
yes, right.
Yeah.
Maybe you could trick people like every time you look at someone, for the first second or two, you look at someone, they have your face or something. Right. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Some way to force everyone to realize, oh wait, that's just me with different parents and different inputs. So,
do you know the word Sonder?
Sonder.
It's an invented word that the internet came up with.
No.
There's, I don't know who started it, but there's some group of words that they put together and said these words don't exist, but they should. And Sonder is defined as seeing other people as whole human beings, different or separate from you, but similar. So it's
knowing they have entire different stories.
Right.
The example is, when you're walking down the street at night and you look into someone's living room window and you see them in there, watching TV or doing whatever they're doing. And in that moment, you are acutely aware of the fact that they are whole human beings with lives of their own and sufferings and joys and problems, unique from yours, but similar. That's
beautiful.
Sonder. And that's what I would do if I had almighty power. I would try and make people feel that.
Well, since we all exist in Doug's head anyway.
What would you do, Doug?
Boy, for me, that probably the biggest change in my entire life has been understanding ego and how ego works within my life, and about if I could do anything, if I had that power, because I've actually posted this several times. If I could put you inside my brain for like 5 minutes to understand how I view the world, I've done that a lot, because there are these times I'm just sitting there and I just get overwhelmed with this feeling of gratitude for the entire existence of the universe, and I just cry. I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that. And if I could get everyone to be a pussy.
Yeah, I know. I've said the same thing. I was like, why is that a derogatory word? If everyone was a pussy, the world would be awesome.
For a lot more scissoring. But just if I could get people to understand the ego and how the ego is really what the problem is within the world, how we need to put the ego away and understand that it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay. I don't learn anything unless I make mistakes.
And it's absolutely okay to feel less than.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's a freedom in accepting that you're insignificant, that you can just,
I am
that you're not the biggest, most important thing. And what was that, Doug? I missed that.
Oh no, I'm completely insignificant, and I understand that, and I know that.
I embrace that too.
Yeah, there's that
as everyone else does about me.
Yeah.
There's this thing in the fight game. I don't know if he coined it or not, but that Conor McGregor fighter, he lost a fight. He's so cocky and braggadocious or whatever, going into these fights. But he lost one, and he said, "Win or learn." I say that to my kid. It's not win or lose. Yep. It's win or learn. You got to just redefine what losing is. It's an opportunity to reassess, to grow, to change, to evolve. We look at everything so competitively. We punish ourselves for not being winners and shit. It's ridiculous,
Yeah, because if you never lost, you would never learn.
Right.
The only way to learn is through failure. I mean, look at Elon Musk and what he does with his rockets. I mean, nobody does what he does in development and progress. He tests things to failure constly.
Right. And plus, he has the best clamps.
He iterates.
On
he
does. CNC machines, the
absolutely
best.
the best work holding available on the planet, working at SpaceX and Tesla. But no, I mean, that's the thing. He talks about that if you're not failing, you are not pushing yourself hard enough.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that living outside your comfort zone.
I try and instill that in my kid all the time, because that's another evolutionary biology feature of humans, just to ego, like you said, to win, to be the best. Like, he loses a video game, a can to Uno, he can't fucking handle it. I'm like, dude, how can I beat this out of you, metaphorically speaking? That this need to be, but you need that too. Like, see, here's the thing. Like, we talk about attenuating ego, because you need a little ego is healthy. A little ego helps you strive and be ambitious and try and do better for yourself, Well,
the super ego in the Jungian model is that it's the part of the ego that's constructive and actually allows you to control yourself and things like that too,
Not that you have free will or anything.
Even that could be deterministic, I guess. But
yes,
there's actually a really good part in the Eckhart Tolle books where he talks about the power of now and about surrendering yourself to what's around you and accept it as if you had chosen it, because all sadness, all dukkha, all suffering comes from wanting things to be different than they are. And so you just have to accept it and go forward from there. And someone asked him in a lecture one time, how do I balance acceptance of what things are with wanting them to be better? How do I make my life better rather than just descending into this apathy and everything's fine the way it is?
Complacency.
Yeah. And his response to that, and unfortunately there's no way I can reproduce it right now, but it was brilliant. It was acceptance of what is does not negate a drive to move forward. What it does.
You're alone, right?
Yeah. Is it cool if I start filming now?
No, when we get inside. Why are you here?
I just thought it was really interesting, that someone hasn't left their basement in 6 months, not even to use the bathroom. Is that true?
Why would I want to go out there? I got everything I need right here. That's what's wrong with most people. They're weak-willed pussies and parasites who buy into that whole "it takes a village" bullshit. You know how many aliases I've used calling into radio shows?
I've had it up to my goddamn gills with the systematic feminization of this country.
Of course we want you. Get your own damn show if you think you got that much to say.
You live in your mom's basement.
Get down!
Fuck you! What's so special about my loser son?
You really do hate your own mother.
She's a woman. Why wouldn't I?
There's some disconnect there, and if I could find it, what is hate? Where does it come from? Where does it go?
You want to know what gender you are? Reach down the front of your fucking pants and shoot fucking kite. Black Lives Matter. Do you call horses slaves? Liberal fucktard. Enough with the parades and the rainbow flags.
Dude, this guy's... it's like pure hate, man.
I want to see something really fucking cool.
This guy is a fucking animal. He's got himself on a leash. He's itching to get off that fucking leash. And he's gonna fucking kill some people.
What a fucking show.
Stop!
What do we hear?
Look at me! Look at me!
We're gonna help you show them the light. We're gonna change the world.
This is Cactus Jack coming to you live from a studio audience.
To the man who calls himself Cactus Jack, we have watched as you have rocketed to infamy.
And you wonder why these cornered animals lash out. Pick a fucking side.
And now, we have watched as you have called for literal blood.
I know you're out there listening. It's buzzing in your ears, burrowing into your brain.
Do it.
Jack, you're gonna love this.
I pulled that trigger on that motherfucker's head.
Your VPN will not shield you. The darknet will not hide you. You and your kind are finished.
You think I'm scared of you?
Come and fucking get me!
Might I be your neighbor? Neighbor?